If you have a history of dealing with chronic anxiety, low self-worth, chronic fatigue, poor memory, or even self-sabotaging tendencies, this could very well be a sign that your nervous system is dysregulated. As someone who's experienced symptoms of dysregulation, in today's video, I want to share with you how this even comes to happen within the body, aka the nervous system. My hope is that by the end of this video, you'll gain a shift in perspective and greater compassion for the amazing job your body has done in protecting you the best way it knows how. If you're new here, hi, my name's Dominique, and on this channel, I help you heal wholeheartedly, mind, body, and soul to become your best self. If this sounds like the type of inspiration that you're desiring, then I invite you to hit the subscribe button down below. I want to first welcome you to part 2 of my Nervous System Regulation 101 series. In last week's video, I shared with you the great importance our autonomic nervous system plays when it comes to our mental well-being. So if you have not yet seen that video, I'm going to leave it linked here in the cards. And I also included a free download that's a simple guide to understanding the autonomic nervous system and the 3 main states that affect our mental well-being. Now, jumping into today's video, which is going to be part 3 of the series and all about how someone's nervous system actually becomes dysregulated. We want to start from the beginning. Understanding what it actually means to be dysregulated is, of course, a very important part to understanding the whole picture. So simply put, dysregulation means that our nervous system, our body, is on high alert. Our nervous system is constantly and unconsciously searching for cues of safety and danger within our environment. And with this information, our nervous system adjusts our behaviors to maintain safety depending on our circumstances. Again, I go into much more detail about how our autonomic nervous system works to protect us in last week's video, so I highly recommend checking it out. Now, having a better understanding of what dysregulation really is, then we have to ask the question, how does this actually happen? And as a trauma-informed life coach, this was a question that I searched for many years to simply better understand what was happening to my own system and to find an actual answer and closure, knowing that I wasn't just stuck with the cards I was dealt with, that I actually had a choice and ability to change things. The most common cause of nervous system dysregulation is trauma, specifically childhood trauma. Now, trauma isn't only the horrific accidents that we can experience, such as a car accident or being in a natural disaster or even war. According to one of my absolute favorite people, Dr. Gabor Mate, trauma is not what happens to you, it's what happens inside of you as a result of what happened to you. Trauma is when too much happens too soon, and unfortunately is quite commonly experienced in childhood. And it's not only the things that did happen to you, it can also be the things that did not happen. When a child experiences overwhelming emotions, it's the role of the caregiver to help them process and make sense of these feelings and emotions that are coming up for them. But what happens if you have a caregiver that is unable to assist you in processing your emotions, or one that denies your reality? When these experiences occur in childhood, our nervous system learns how to deal with these emotions the best way it knows how. And many times these emotions are so overwhelming for our tiny bodies to process on their own that we then push them away into the shadows and ignore them. And eventually they do come back to the surface. When it comes to us dealing with these types of emotions all on our own as children, the best way we know how to protect ourselves is to leave the discomfort of our bodies. When this happens, we end up coming to our survival part of the brain, where we can then develop hypervigilance, anxiety, and excessive worry, because the brain is a meaning-making machine. Now, a few weeks back, I created a video all about what anxiety really is. I'm going to leave that linked here in the cards because I shared briefly about my own experience with anxiety, and this is when I became to truly understand why my nervous system was dysregulated. The search for better understanding the cause behind my anxiety and for the sudden onset that happened brought me to start implementing a lot of body work, a lot of nervous system regulation work. And it was through this work that I began to finally see the light at the end of the tunnel, an end to this chronic anxiety that terrified me, because I never knew when it was going to come, and I honestly had no idea how to actually manage it. All the work that I had done up until that point was a top-down approach, meaning that I was simply focusing mainly on mindset shift and still ignoring everything that was happening within my body, within the nervous system. And in my anxiety video, I shared with you that 80% of our sensory messages move from our body to our brain, and only 20% move from the brain to the body. So when we think of this top-down approach, it's no wonder that so many individuals out there still are unable to find that place of full healing. When I began to educate myself and fully understand what it was to have a dysregulated nervous system and the root cause of this dysregulation, is when I began treating it from a bottom-up approach. I began to first prioritize where I never wanted to go, which was within my body. When I look back at my childhood to see where this dysregulation started, it started from me dealing with my emotions the best way I knew how, which was to simply stuff it away, put a lock on it, and move out of my body. So the anxiety that eventually crept up at the age of 28 was waiting to burst all of those years, because I had spent so much of my life in my survival brain, hypervigilant, worried about the next shoe that was going to drop. And so my body, my nervous system, decided to take it to the next level to protect me the best way it knew how, which was to crank up that alarm so I could not ignore it any longer. The way to healing a dysregulated nervous system is by going to the place we have been avoiding most of our lives, which is within our body, our nervous system. Until we learn how to stabilize and regulate our body, our nervous system, this source of the 80% of our sensory information will continue to send our brains signals of alarm, of anxiety, of excessive worry, chronic fatigue, poor memory, all of the self-sabotaging behaviors. Until we become brave enough and learn how to regulate our nervous system by entering into the discomfort, then the 80% of this sensory information is going to continue to be firing off signals of alarm, of danger, of threat, hypervigilance, anxiety. Our childhood trauma was not our fault, but it is our responsibility to heal. In next week's video, I'm going to be sharing with you some common and not so common bodily signs of having a dysregulated nervous system and how you can start to heal. I invite you to comment below what was your biggest takeaway from this video, or maybe you had an aha moment. I invite you to comment down below. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. That way I know to create more content like this for you. And until next time, sending you so much healing love.